Good morning, everyone, and a big warm welcome to everyone here today for our virtual roadshow event with DCMS and in partnership with Cyber Scotland. Just to give you a quick run through of the event, we have Simon Hepburn, CEO of the UK Cybersecurity Council, who's going to give a short introduction to the council and the work that we're currently doing. Following this, we'll hear from Eamon Keane, Simon Integrator at Scotland IS Cyber, who will talk about Cyber Scotland and an update from that perspective. Following that, we'll hear from Amina Unmei, Senior Policy Advisor from DCMS, about the current consultation that's taking place. And following that, there will be an opportunity for questions to be answered. So if you do have any questions during the event, please feel free to pop them into the chat function, and we'll be putting these to our speakers in the Q&A session later on in this event. And I'm delighted to welcome Simon Hepburn, CEO of the UK Cybersecurity Council, who's going to give an introduction about the council and the work that we're doing. Simon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa. So what I'll be doing is a very brief presentation. So let's connect the presentation. Okay, so again, Simon Hepburn, CEO of UK Cybersecurity Council. Really pleased to be here. Really pleased to be working in partnership with Scotland, the Scottish Government on this event, and plus obviously working closely with DCMS. So this will basically be a whistle-stop tour through the work that we're basically doing at the council. Again, just for many of you may not know about our work, our kind of history, our background, where we basically came from, on our plans for the future. So really for me, just giving a kind of brief update is really important as part of that introduction to yourselves. So part of the history of the organisation was that back in kind of 2016 to 2021 National Cyber Strategy, there were specific references about the importance to develop and accredit the cybersecurity profession, and to really create an organisation that would also be the focal point which could advise, shape and inform national policy. And so part of the history is really formed on, there's always been a view that the importance of, one, an umbrella organisation, but two, really trying to professionalise the profession. Because as we all know, it's a relatively new profession in comparison to other professions like obviously law, accountancy, engineering, etc. Then in 2018, there was obviously the UK government cyber skills strategy. And within that document, there were specific references to the creation of an independent body, ultimately being the UK Cyber Security Council, and also the development of a framework of cybersecurity specialisms with alignment to different career pathways, again, within our sector. So in 2019, there was the formation project. So that was kind of funded by DCMS, and they basically appointed IET, the Institute of Engineering Technicians, to lead about 15 organisations in relation to the formation of the council. And they worked through 10 different work streams around standards, ethics, governance, career route map, etc., as part of the foundation work for ourselves as the council. Really important work. And again, we appreciate the work that the formation team of formation project put into that. So ultimately, as part of that kind of outcome of that, it was, well, what's the kind of core aims of the organisation? So fundamentally, it's really around, we are an organisation, so a self-regulatory body for the cybersecurity profession. Absolutely, we support the government's national cyber strategy to obviously ultimately make the UK the safest place to live and work online. And it is really very much focused on developing professional standards and obviously our career route maps as described. In March 21, so March last year, the council became, obviously ending the kind of formation project, the council became our own kind of independent entity. In July last year, we became a registered charity, so granted charity status by the Charity Commission. In September last year, I was appointed as CEO, and we also opened our organisational membership programme. In November, we were given Royal Chartered status by the Queen, and also in November, we were working really closely with DCMS, NCSC and KPMG in relation to a launch of a Decrypt and Diversity report, which within that report, there are 5 recommendations, 2 of which we're kind of moving forward as the council. And in December, as we all know, 21, there was a national cyber strategy launch, which we obviously fundamentally within that document. In January this year, again, we've always been working really closely with DCMS, NCSC and ourselves. So we've continued with our strategic meetings, and that's really been focused on how we can work together to absolutely make this work and how we can make the national cyber strategy really come alive and aptly implement that. In February, we've started our UK nationwide DCMS consultation shows, and this is obviously one of which we've already worked with Northern Ireland last week. So part of the DCMS consultation roadshows. We're also having our UK-wide standards and career roadshow reviews. So I think, again, for Scotland, that is tomorrow. We've established our standards, ethics and career working groups, and that's part of the organisational members of the organisation working with us to really develop further our work on standards, ethics and careers. In March, which we're now in, it's about responding to the consultation document, which we're going to hear more from our colleagues in a moment. And that's, as an organisation, we're responding both from a board perspective, but also the executive and also our organisational members. So organisational members, that we'll be having an event for them really to feed in, so we can have an organisational kind of response from our members. And we're continuing with our thematic kind of standards development and career route map development as a core part of our ongoing work. And again, in March, obviously working on the UK-wide roadshows and also thematic events. So, for example, next week we've got an International Women's Day event with excellent speakers, including my chair, Claudia Nathanson, also with Lindy Cameron from NCSC, CEO for MCSC, and colleagues from WeSys, Women in Cyber UK. So excellent day next Tuesday, the 8th of March. And also the London Symposium, which is really working with the City and City University on an event focused on financial technology and cyber. And again, all of this information is on our website. We're really focused, I think, as an organisation on our core 5 pillars. So the work on obviously professional standards, professional ethics, our careers and learning, obviously proposition and work and route map, outreach and diversity, really to increase both the outreach and engagement with schools, colleges, etc. So that we don't really create the barriers or perceived barriers to joining the profession. And really, we're also focused on obviously increasing the diversity. And for our work, I think with both our organisational members, but also with a lot of engagement with partners, which I'll show you the kind of ecosystem partners in a second, being a core part of that thought leadership. My whole view on it is really important to work as part of that kind of collaboration piece and talking truth to power. So it's really about influencing the agenda. And I think part of the consultation is, from my view, people engage in that as part of influencing the future agenda. As part of our kind of ecosystem partners, you can see several kind of core organisations here. In the centre, obviously, we've got ourselves as the UK Cyber Security Council, and that's ourselves as an organisation, but also the members of the organisation, because ultimately, we see ourselves as the voice for the profession. But my whole view, and I'm sure everyone's heard me say this, that to be the voice, you also have to listen and you need to hear. So I think representing the voices of the profession and talking truth to power is absolutely essential. So the Cyber Security Councils, we're there for that. And we work really closely with all these organisations. So obviously we see ourselves very much in the kind of role and remit of enhancing and expanding the nation's kind of cyber skills. And we'll come on to that in a moment in relation to the strategy. And in relation to the technical knowledge and expertise and who we work with really closely, is obviously NCSC. And then all of these organisations you can basically see on this slide. It's a kind of core organisations we partner with. And also all of the devolved nations. And that's really important because, in a sense, we have to do this together. It is around a partnership. It is around that collaboration. We don't see ourselves as the font of all knowledge. Absolutely not. It is around, it's important we engage to basically make this work. And all of us ultimately want this to work. So really pleased to be working with these partners. Within the strategy, obviously, it was launched back in December, obviously, National Cyber Strategy. We see ourselves really neatly within, obviously, Pillar 1. And the focus on the UK cyber ecosystem. And as I said, that's really, an objective 2. I like to, really focus and see where our kind of strategic links basically are. So objective 2, enhance and expand the nation's cyber skills at every level, including for a world-class and diverse cybersecurity profession that inspires and equips future talent. So if you said, what's our kind of key kind of mission, what's our key objective, then that's absolutely it. That's really where we're focused. And obviously, as we said, we're coming on to a moment, so we can have our colleague Amina, who will be obviously talking about the consultation, so embedded standards. So I'm not going to steal her thunder, but just my view is just important that people kind of engage, review the document, engage, consult, comment, and really get their voices heard. So that would be my only kind of tip on that, but you hear more on that in a moment. And next steps, I think, for the council is we're really focused very much on aligning all of our work to the National Cyber Strategy. To continue to kind of develop professional standards, working on a thematic level, and to develop our career route map, and again, making sure we've got that appropriate alignment. Form strategic alliances to support our key objectives. That's around the kind of ecosystem of the partners I've just shared. Engaging with the wider sector, as part of our strategic development. So that's how our members are involved as part of committees and working groups to develop the standards, to develop a career roadmap, to develop, we work on outreach, diversity and inclusion, and around thought leadership. To implement our chartered organisational requirement and our chartered organisational status, so really focused on doing that. And also, very importantly, developing a fit for purpose organisation to deliver on our mission. We currently have, I think, 6 roles that are out in the media, and again, you can see that on our website that are available. If people want to kind of join the organisation and be part of our journey, then I would say do apply. So that's my whistle stop tour. Look forward to kind of hearing the questions and hearing my other colleagues' presentations. And thank you very much for now. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much, Simon. We'll take questions at the end. I know I can see 1 or 2 that have come through the chat function. I'm delighted to introduce Eamon Keane, cyber integrator from Scotland IS Cyber, who's going to be talking about Cyber Scotland and give an update on the work they're doing there. Welcome, Eamon.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you indeed. Hi, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much to UKC3, DCMS, and the UKCSC for inviting Scotland this morning. Just to transport you, I'll show you one of our famous iconic sites up in the Highlands of Scotland. I'll just get my slides up now, and we can progress. So yes, thank you for this opportunity, and it's great to be here, and welcome to everybody. By way of background, Eamon has a history in law enforcement, head of forensic delivery for Police Scotland and head of cybercrime investigations. And from an educational perspective, just recently completed my master's in advanced security and digital forensics. So over the next few minutes, I'm just going to speak about some of the activity we have. I'm currently working for an organisation called Scotland IS, part of the Collegiate in Scotland in regards to promoting the UK National Cybersecurity Strategy. And I think it's ever more important now with the events going on in Eastern Europe in regards to supporting the strategy in every way we can, and all the pillars, and indeed the 5 pillars of UK CSC. So Scotland IS is a trade association, and without reading the slide, we support innovation and collaboration with the goal of developing the ecosystem and driving economic growth. And the ethos there is improving the standards of cybersecurity across all sectors. So we provide opportunities for networking, knowledge exchange, sharing best practices, diversity, skills, and ultimately national growth, feeding into the whole of the UK. And our 4 key objectives are there in regards to raising awareness, supporting the creation of UK, helping startups and scale-ups, the development of a healthy and diverse talent, in regards to addressing the skills gap within the cyber industry, and promoting the cyber research amongst our universities, supporting our main aims. We have formed the Scottish Cyber Scotland partnership, and when this idea was initiated, God, how can we get our 16 partners, our 10 partners originally, but now we have 16 partners, and I'll go into them with Police Scotland, Scottish Government, and various other organisations, which I'll highlight to you on an infographic later. But again, just that the huge emphasis on collaboration and partnership in regards to, increasing our wider cyber resilience, increasing the effectiveness and impact in regards to avoiding duplication, and kind of not operating in silos, and making sure that we were delivering the one key message across all the sectors in Scotland and further afield. We work also quite closely with the National Police Chiefs Council and the Cyber Resilience Centre network within the UK, Northern Ireland and Wales, and indeed our friends in, don't be fooled by the accent, our friends in Ireland, and particularly recently in regards to their horrific cyber attack on the HSE. Again, it's National Annual Cyber Scotland Week for us, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later on in regards to supporting the strategy. Here are some of the highlights. We have 16 partners. It's grown from 10 to 16 recently. The website launched, and it's nice to say that we have over 22,000 users on the portal. We regularly publish a bulletin, both a technical and threat bulletin, in regards to what's happening, not only from a Scottish perspective, but a UK national perspective. But obviously, cybercrime is global, so we need to be very aware of what's happening across the globe. Heavy on Twitter and again LinkedIn in regards to some of our activity. There's a repetition, sorry, I apologize for that. But one of the highlights for me is the fact that users have downloaded over 1,200 incident response pack downloads. So that's part of one of our initiatives in regards to firming up investigative and incident response mainly across our SMEs and charities, because we expect the big guys to look after themselves, but we're there to support, and that's been recently highlighted to good effect in regards to the horrible intrusion on our Scottish Environmental Protection Agency, and that was on Christmas Eve the year before last. So supporting them through the pain of that attack. We've also have an initiative in regards to the NCSE exercise in a box, and this has been very, very well received, and feedback has been great at that in regards to, we've had over 300 organizations across all the sectors engage in exercise in a box with a view to preparation should you be the victim of a cybercrime. News coverage, again, reaching in excess of 5 million, which is great in promoting what we're doing. Another wee initiative, and again, it's about raising standards, both pathways, individuals in regards to their career development, but also organizational resilience. And we're doing some work with managed service providers and internet service providers and MSPs in regards to trying to raise cyber accreditation standards, industry standards, Cyber Essentials Plus, ISO series, and others in regards to encouraging those those enterprises, those organizations to gain accreditation in regards to providing a better service to the customers through the supply chain, and indeed influencing the supply chain. In regards to our startups, I'm delighted to say we have an 18 to 20% increase, and supporting that innovation and the great new technologies that are coming out through our PhD and master students, and taking that through their journey. Business support around that Scottish Business Cares, assisting them with the development of that from a startup, pilots, the MVP with the route to commercialization, and supporting that using our partners across Scotland. This is just an infographic explaining what we have, and there are our key partners, top left, in regards to, we have the research institution Census, the Data Lab, Police Scotland are a very strong partner. Young Scot, absolutely focusing on the next generation coming through. Obviously, Scottish Government are very strong there. Skills Development Scotland, and ourselves, Scotland IS, and others, including the National Cybersecurity Centre. So again, just an infographic we've been using this week as part of Cyber Scotland Week. We have over 80 plus events across Scotland this week. So yes, geographically, I've been up to Aberdeen and across to Glasgow and back to Edinburgh, and we're in Inverness tomorrow in regards to promoting what we're doing, trying to engage all groups, really, all sectors, private, public, third, and our young people in regards to why you should enter cyber and staying safe in this modern world. Some other key developments within Scotland, bottom right, in regards to just this week, the Scottish Government have unveiled that we will be creating a new Central Coordination Cyber Response Unit, SC3, again, to promote that collaborative and partnership approach with a multi-sector, again, with a view to research and development, partnership engagement, and industry a very much strong part of that, with a view to urban regeneration and other areas in regards to Scotland. Abertay, one of our foremost universities, run a great degree in ethical hacking, and they've also announced a 11 million cybersecurity project deal in regards to supporting that collaborative and partnership approach. The NHS Scotland will be using creating a SOC and other capabilities within Abertay as part of that Cyber Quarter Tay Cities deal. And then again, new funding to expand Census around IoT in regards to our cybersecurity program going forward. We have a fairly close parochial system in Scotland. This is some of the work we're doing across the innovative ecosystem in regards to that collaborative community between government, academia, innovation and enterprise. And again, some of the companies and some of the highlights for us in there in regards to the growth of Adharma, Accenture, Leonardo, and others, supporting new startups, Cyan Forensics, a forensic provision in regards to the investigation of child abuse images terrorism and others, a great new technology. And we work very closely with the Scottish Informatics and Computer Society Alliance, easy for me to say, around the 16 universities in academia, and supporting those students and encouraging that cyber diverse skills pathway in regards to going forward and retaining them. This is some of the academic and research excellence in regards to these universities, around the clusters in regards to the gaming sector, ethical hacking, digital forensics, the advancement towards quantum computing, robotics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and others. Again, critical national infrastructure, really important just now, of course, in regards to ICS control systems, advanced manufacturing, IoT networks, and lastly 5G. So around the 16 universities across the breadth of Scotland, and I noticed one omission there. I need to update this with the University of Highlands and Islands up in Inverness in regards to the activity around what we're doing. The cyber cluster focus, working with our partners in UKC3 in regards to, again, the innovation challenge. We're looking also to develop a cyber innovation hub to complement SC3, and that's very much work in progress with our colleagues at Plexil. The specialisms which and subsectors which I'll go into. Yes, very important international collaborations as we grow, and supporting the UK wider cluster engagement with those strategic partnerships. And the clusters themselves, in regards to, we formed due to the engagements and making sure we had a fairly slick, non-siloed approach, we formed the Scottish Cluster Ecosystem Alliance, another acronym alone in cyber, SEEA. But again, you can see we have FinTech Scotland with in excess of 300 young companies growing their business, and across, I mentioned artificial intelligence, gaming, blockchain. We have a very strong blockchain lab in one of our universities here in Edinburgh, Napier, and across the energy space, 5G, IoT, and health. And this is just some of the activity we have with the clusters within Scotland. And that's just a whistle-stop tour, really. I've tried to capture lots that's going on in Scotland, and the key ethos for me would be supporting of course, the UK strategy, and together we are stronger, and supporting that in regards to its key objectives and the 5 pillars within, of course, UK CSC. So I'm around for questions later on from whatever background coming in from the Scottish perspective, but thank you, and I'll hand you back to Lisa.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Eamon. And please do put your questions in the chat function for him, and we'll put those across to him in the Q&A session a bit later on. I'd like to introduce Amina Umine, Senior Policy Advisor at DCMS, who's going to talk a little bit about the current government consultation that's taking place. Welcome, Amina.
Hello. So I'll just go over a few slides I've got to explain our ambition for the consultation, and where our evidence base comes from, and then the current situation and our rationale for carrying out the consultation. I'll also go through our policy proposals, so the role of the council going forward, and then the consultation proposals, where we explain that we have legislative and non-legislative measures, and then our next steps. So our ambition comes from, well, is really set out in the integrated review, which looks to cement the UK as a responsible and democratic cyber power. It's also reinforced by the National Cyber Strategy. This is to ensure our ecosystems are strengthened, and investment is made in our people and our skills. To meet this ambition, we need a skilled and growing cyber workforce, and our focus is really to ensure that there is a sustained and scaled supply of diverse and high quality cyber professionals going into the sector, and the labour market more broadly. So the current situation, so we have an estimated shortfall of about 10,000 professionals in the sector each year, and that means that the talent that's generated each year is about 7,500, but the number that we need is actually around 17,500. We also have a skills gap and a skills shortage. Through our engagements with businesses, employers and employees, we know that businesses have about a 50% basic skills gap and about a 33% advanced skills gap. We also know through our engagements that the career pathways within the sector are hard to navigate, and the diversity within the sector is not as diverse as other sectors such as IT. And that's something we also are looking to address through this consultation and the measures. So DCMS funded the creation of the UK Cybersecurity Council, and we're looking for the council to be the professional authority for cybersecurity, to set the standards across the profession and bring together the existing certification and qualification bodies under one clear umbrella. We are looking for the council to create career pathways to support current and future professionals to navigate through the sector much easier than it currently is. So our consultation sets out our strategic ambition over the next 3 years. And we look at government to support the council with the right amount of support to ensure its success. So what we're looking at is a legislative measure for the council to consider it to regulate the use of job titles for cyber professionals. What we're not doing is considering licensing by activity, and we want to ensure that we are raising the standards across the profession, recognising competence rather than bringing in barriers into the sector, as it already has a skills gap and a skills shortage. We also look at other non-legislative measures, and that's looking at how government can support in embedding the standards created by the council in through procurement and recruitment practices. And then our next steps are, so our consultation closes on the 20th of March, so please send in your responses, and then we look to publish a government response in June. And then we can go to Q&A.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, Amina. I have a couple of questions that have come in from our audience so far. The first one is actually for Simon, and I believe he's going to be rejoining us shortly. It's, will the council be active within Scotland and specifically working with the Scottish Government?
Absolutely. I mean, our ambition is very much to work with all of the devolved nations. So, you know, both partnering, collaborating, as we're kind of doing our developments around our standard development work and our work around the kind of careers route map, etc. I mean, partnership and collaboration is absolutely important. So the answer to the question is absolutely yes. This is, remember, this is we're the UK Cybersecurity Council. It's not the England Cybersecurity Council. So absolutely partnering and collaborating is absolutely essential as part of our developments.
Thank you, Simon. The next question is for Eamon, if he's still here. No. I don't know if anybody on here can. Oh, he is here. Hi, Eamon. I have a question that's come in for yourself. What plans does Cyber Scotland have regarding cooperation with the council, as there seems to be quite a bit of overlap?
Yeah, no, thank you. Very good question. And I think it's the synergy there in regards to yeah, we've recently had 2 cyber runway events, and yeah, I think in regards to overlap, absolutely, maybe a little bit more synergy there. But no, I think the growing relationship with the council and the council's integration with the Scottish Government and the Cyber Resilience Unit in regards to promoting the UK cybersecurity strategy and our own strategy in Scotland, absolutely focus in that delivery, contributing towards the UK national picture. So yeah, I'll take that back in regards to overlap, but again, lots of our aims and ambitions are similar, and I would say that's our focus. I hope that answers your question, James.
Okay. Thank you, Eamon. And another question, which I think may be for Simon. Is there a plan to mandate minimum qualifications to be a qualified professional?
Okay, so to mandate minimal qualifications to be a professional, we're looking at 3 levels. So we're looking at chartered, principal, and associate. And I think what we're doing, part of our mapping, is really to focus on what's the qualifications or certifications you need at each of those levels, and what's the level of experience. And we're balancing that with both what they call breadth and depth. So how much breadth do you need, and how much depth? So I think the for qualified professionals, it depends on what level to what qualifications. So it depends on what you then define as a qualified professional. What we're not looking at is basically general, there's a license to practice model. And again, I'm sure, I mean, Andrew's there as well. So if Andrew, in relation to the DCMS perspective, wants to answer that, that would be more than helpful. But that's our perspective, absolutely.
Yes, hi, Andrew Miller, so head of our cyber skills policy teams in DCMS. There is no intention to license to practice. You're exactly right, Simon. I think what we do want to see, though, is we want to see the chartered status starting to become common currency across the industry and the profession. And certainly something that we're looking at within government is how our government procurement might work in terms of ensuring that we have competent people, and how do we measure competent people? It might be through the chartered status. At least that's the driving intention behind what we're doing with the council at the moment on standards.
Thank you, Andrew. Another question that's come in, which I'd like to come to each of you in turn on. Is there a plan to hold businesses to account for a higher need of cybersecurity resilience? Simon, if I come to you first, and then each of you in turn on that one.
Okay, always me first. Okay, so to hold business to account. I think what's important from my perspective is we see what's happening nationally and globally, and I think it's really important that businesses understand their roles and responsibilities, especially obviously MDs and chief execs. Because very often what you basically find, and a lot of conversations again with the profession and some of the experts, is that cybersecurity is sometimes in the inappropriate stack. So it's not really seen in, it's seen kind of might be in the IT stack, instead of being really the importance of business continuity and business risk. And so absolutely it's a part of the whole business. So I think the having really being clear around where it fits into a business continuity plan or business development plan, and it's the whole business being kind of responsible, or ultimately the kind of chief exec and top level, and then fin down. I think that's important. Whether that's in legislation and consultation, and I think that's another question. I'm sure my colleagues will be able to answer that one. But in relation to my view, that it's important that all businesses understand their role and responsibility around securing their organizational business. I think that's absolutely essential to absolutely be a resilient organization. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Simon. Eamon, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in regards to, I think the cyber landscape and the cyber roles has become, certainly in the last 10 years, there's so many different facets to providing good cyber provision, right from the C-suite down to some of the important technical roles. And I think what we have to do within strategy and policy and the collegiate is to make sure that we are not increasing the skills gap and making it accessible to all. And it's working with the likes in Scotland, working very much with the likes of our organisation Skills Development Scotland, making sure that we are addressing cyber skills at a young age. And we do that through some of the National Progression Awards, Cyber Apprenticeship, Cyber Graduate Scheme, and trying to encourage as many young people to create that diverse skills group we have going into cyber. But again, I suppose in regards to promoting cyber resilience, and we're trying to influence absolutely boards and C-suites to recognise the importance of cyber as it's delivered holistically across an organisation.
Thank you, Eamon. Mira and Andrew, is there anything else you'd like to add to that question?
I can go, Andrew. Good question, because we are running another consultation alongside this one that looks at proposals for legislative changes to drive up levels of cyber resilience across organisations, especially those that play an important role in the UK economy, like managed IT service providers. I'll put a link in the chat for the other consultation, the resilience consultation.
Thank you. Another question that's come in. How will we ensure that the setting of professional standards and job roles do not inadvertently cause a greater skills gap among entry-level positions? I mean, Andrew, if I come to you first, and then Eamon and Simon.
Andrew, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can take that one. So when we were starting to look at the consultation and what it would cover, one of the first things we did was one of our regulatory impact sort of pieces. And we got our economists to have a look around the barriers to entry issue, you know, insider outsider models. If you create barriers to entry to a profession in one that is short of people, then you can actually make the problem much worse, which I think, Laura, is what you're pointing towards. I think that's why we don't have license to practice on the table for this one. I think if we were going down that route, I think it would be an issue. I think as this is going to be voluntary, I suspect that there won't be issues around license to practice. I think the issue that we have is actually how do you get people into the profession and developing experience and sort of skills in the first place, because there is really a chicken and egg problem in the profession at the moment, and everybody's looking for people with lots of experience. And actually people with qualification but no experience are finding it quite tough to get work.
Lovely, thank you, Andrew. Eamon, can I come to you on that one, please?
Yeah, just kind of repeating the comments there in regards to, you know, I think cyber and, you know, it's a relatively new, the industry is a relatively new industry, and it's still finding its feet towards professional accreditation, and we can only just again encourage those young people to look at cyber as a career with the many new positions that are there. I think we are looking at standards within the industry to make sure that those people are doing the right thing with the right qualifications, and making sure that we are repelling attacks, but we're also encouraging that the development of cyber resilience, and I think the strategy develops that, and working with partners like in Scotland, I mentioned Skills Development Scotland, to make sure that we're addressing the youngest members of our society, to make it more attractive for young people and a diverse population coming into the industry.
I think as well, and just coming in, Andrew Miller again, just coming in on the importance of standards around skills. And for us, what we see it as, there's a real sort of market failure in skills at the moment within this profession, and that's largely because educational institutions don't know what to teach towards in order to create the skill sets necessary. People who are coming out of school and thinking about what careers to follow don't necessarily know what pathways to follow. They don't know what needs to be in the box if they want to go and take on a cyber specialism. So for me, the importance of the council is in creating that sort of skills institutional architecture that allows all the other bits of the pathway to sort of lock into place. Yeah, people come into cyber at whatever point in their career, but if you're going to retrain, you want to do a course that's going to actually give you a set of skills that's going to allow you to get a job. And at the moment, I don't think, I think the lack of a standard is making that really quite hard, because you're getting lots of people training in different ways. You're getting multiple qualifications emerging. There's no clear guidance across the industry about what you need to do to be able to get what jobs. And then on the other side, on the employer side, there's no clear information about, well, what does good look like? You know, what should I be looking for when I'm hiring somebody? And so there's a real issue there as well. And that's something we need to address too.
Absolutely. Just to jump in, Lisa, just to say, I mean, I completely agree with both. I think all the comments from both Andrew and Eamon. I think I think for us also, what I would add to that, I was at an event yesterday with Cyborg in Oxford, and one of the things we were looking at was the different accreditation and certifications of the different both qualification organisations and the different courses in different universities, and what specific kind of specialism they relate to. So very often I'm having people who are corresponding with myself from the organisation. They never got a master's in cybersecurity. They really want to go into pen testing, but the degree they've actually got was more focused on security architecture, and so which they didn't really understand. It was just tagged cyber when it was really, you know, generic kind of IT. So there's a lot of that taking place. So for me, it's really important to again just have the conversations to ensure that we're not setting anything up that's going to create more barriers to joining the sector and the profession, because we don't want unintended consequences, even part of the kind of the wider consultation. So it's really about having those conversations to make sure that we open up the profession to people, and that's both the whole outreach work around schools, colleges, etc., but also for career changes. So really being clear, how do I join this profession? What are the opportunities? If I do this certification, what does it lead to? And that's ultimately the work of the council and working with our partners.
Lovely, thank you, Simon. Another question that's come in. Regulations should be aimed more at CEOs and directors. So how can we engage the C-suite to take cybersecurity more seriously and ensure it's on their radar? And I'd say especially in the light of events in the last week or so. Can I come to Amina and Andrew first, please?
Go on, Andrew.
Yeah, and I think Amina's already answered some of this in terms of the other sort of pieces of work that are going on across DCMS. But I think it is about both making sure that the business regulation and systems are saying, actually, this is important. There are business decisions at the heart of this, and that's about cost. Fundamentally, now, if there is going to be a cost associated with cyber insecurity, then that needs to be addressed by business. So I think it's about continuing to communicate. We do a lot of research that we push out to businesses about the costs of cyber. We'll need to continue to do that. But then those regulations are one part of how you bring businesses on board. But there are many teams within DCMS Cybersecurity Directorate looking at this and seeing what we can do to nudge firms in the right direction. Whether regulation is the right thing across that whole piece, I'm not entirely sure, but I'd leave it to them to comment. I'd have a look at what else is going on out there.
Thank you. Can I come to you, please, Eamon?
Yeah, no, supporting what Andrew's saying there, and I think without being too alarmist around the cost of a cyber attack on an organization, making sure that CEOs and directors are aware, and certainly through our engagement in Scotland with our executive education programme being run by our colleagues at the Scottish Business Resilience Centre, our exercise in a box and taking the geekdom out of cyber and how cyber relates to cyber's not IT, being more a resilient organisation with doing the brilliant basics in regards to Cyber Essentials Plus, and trying to drive that message, and we're getting increased engagement. It's we have to align it to risk and business impact analysis and cyber as an enabler, and if you have that accreditation, that industry standard, that sets you apart from anybody else in regards to something like Cyber Essentials badge, where we're treating your data, and as a customer we're taking your cyber and your data, we're treating that with an importance it deserves, so all these initiatives are again for me driving standards across the industry, and certainly amongst C-suite and amongst boards. Yes, I think there's a great awareness, and some of the recent intrusions have highlighted that the boards align to their risk.
Thank you. Simon, can I come to you, please?
Yeah, I mean, nothing really more to add. I think what Andrew and again Eamon said it absolutely covers it for me. I did say, and I think in my previous response, I think just the importance of understanding. For me, is what's the cost if you don't? So what's the cost if you don't kind of secure your organisation? What's the cost if you don't understand the impact it can have on your organisation? So I think the really understanding the basics, understanding your role and responsibility in that, and putting in the appropriate kind of mitigations for me is absolutely essential. So yeah, but I think we've covered that. Well done.
Thank you, Simon. Another question that's come in. Is there a plan to promote a process to be qualified through apprenticeships? There are currently great pathways in IT, but can cyber as a profession mirror this process? Amina and Andrew, can I come to you first, please?
Go on, Andrew.
Okay, I can take this one. So across our team, we work with three main spaces in cyber policy. One is obviously the profession and regulation, which is council. We also have a youth team that looks at schools through to the age of 16, and then we have an AGFE team that looks at 16 plus. We're engaged in all parts of that pathway, and also understanding that people don't necessarily follow an ABCD route into cybersecurity. There's more like sort of chaotic circles all the way along that. But one of the things we're doing, Inverclyde, this is, we launched last week Cyber Explorers pilot in Inverclyde, and this is aimed at Key Stage 3, 11 to 14-year-olds, getting them enthusiastic about cyber and trying to capture them and capture that interest before they start to make GCSE and sort of Scottish equivalent choices. So I'm still in my O grade world in my age group. I think that's really important to get them into that sort of stream. I think the hires and the sort of, again, my age shows, I think again at that sort of 16 plus sort of qualification level, it's really important. Yeah, apprenticeships have got to be part of that. So we are talking across the sort of National Skills Fund, we're talking across various other sort of organisations, see what is possible. And there's quite a lot out there. And certainly in terms of retraining, in terms of the higher education, further education piece as well, I think we're also looking quite carefully at what's possible, drawing on others' experiences. So yes, in short.
Thank you. Eamon, can I come to you on this, please?
Yeah, again, just repeating what Andrew said, and I think it's catching those young people at an early age in regards to trying to enthuse those to come into the cyber industry. And I love that, you know, in regards to we have pathways in IT, but cyber as a profession mirror that process. And I think from my experience within academia within Scotland, certainly, you know, a master's degree in the various modules will give you everything from cryptography to the examining the application of the strategic process through ICMS protocols. So and I think as you find and enter the industry, then you carve your niche, and you know, whether SOC analyst, software developer, but again, I think what we're trying to do is promote that holistic cyber message in regards to staying safe and secure, and you know, what can we implement in regards to protecting our networks and our infrastructure and our customers' data and the supply chain through good cyber resilience, and everything we do, and certainly working closely with Skills Development Scotland in Scotland. Sorry to be mentioning Scotland again there, but again, the strategy there in regards to the range of the increasing range of awards right through the National Progression Awards, even at primary level, right through HND, HNC to undergraduate, masters and PhD. So yes, I'm welcoming the developments towards the increasing amount of awards being advertised through our universities, not only in Scotland, but absolutely across the UK.
Yeah,
Hope that answers the question.
It absolutely does. And just to jump in on this one, Lisa, I think I absolutely both agree and think it's really important. I think it's important both on kind of apprenticeship levels, so the different apprenticeship levels, so kind of level 3 working up, also T levels. So the whole thing for me is really around making sure we've got the appropriate pathways, and we have to start from that. So I really love the work that's taken place, obviously, secondary schools around the kind of cyber explorers, and working all the way through. So we're inspiring people to join the sector and the profession, so they're making informed choices and really understanding how you can. My whole view is about the building blocks, how you can basically build upon that from your choices to the specific kind of programs, different certifications, working through whether it's a degree apprenticeship or a level 3, level 4, but really aligning that to what's taking place in some other professions similar to IT. I'm also aware there's things obviously like, you know, degree law apprenticeships. So from my view, there in relation to apprenticeship, let's get that going at every level, and we are having obviously conversations around how to work with organisations around that. So that is part of our wider careers map agenda.
Lovely, thank you, Simon. I believe that's all the questions that we have from the audience. So it remains for me just to say a very, very big thank you to you all for attending today and for sharing your questions during the event. And thank you as well to Simon, to Eamon, Amina and Andrew for taking part in the event and being our speakers today. Please could you all respond formally to the consultation, which closes on the 20th of March. And there should be the details of how you can do this coming into the chat feature now. It's really, really important that your voice is heard and your feedback is sent in to the consultation in response. We do have some more virtual roadshow events coming up next week in partnership with Cyber Wales, and the following week for England. And again, there'll be a link coming in the chat function, so you can find out more information about those events. And at the council, we have 2 additional events coming up next week. One for International Women's Day on the 8th of March, which will focus on decrypting the cybersecurity industry's glass ceiling. And we have keynote speakers, Lindy Cameron, CEO of the NCSC, among others. And then on the 10th of March, we have Taking the Lead, ensuring London has the world-class cybersecurity skills it needs, in partnership with City London University. And again, on the link in the chat, there'll be some details of how you can sign up to those events. So thank you all very much for attending today and sharing your questions in response to the discussions this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.